I just restarted the stream and it's back in the green, up around 5,000 kbps. It's kind of getting a little shaky though. Like I said, I think we're having some weather interference locally. We'll see how it is. It's also just hitting the time of the day, I think, when more people start mid afternoon. So that could be that too. But no, I think it was just the connection. So yeah, I don't know if you guys heard the stream topics, but that's kind of what I have a few. Problem players might be interesting. There is. Yeah, I watched the first season. I actually didn't get further into it. Um, it was it was definitely interesting. I should get back to it. Everything else there, but what I thought is because I've described the world as late post, late or post Roman Empire. So, and how's it going, Tom? Good to see you. Blake just on. Blake's bouncing off now. Um, I think it gives a good atmosphere. Just like I think Spartacus Blood and Sand gets across the kind of darker end of the gladiator culture and society and this decayed society. So that's partially why I included that. And a lot of the material I put here as inspiring does not necessarily have to do with fantasy or sword and sorcery or whatever. But as far as the mood and the atmospheres that the game should evoke, like I have the Man with No Name trilogy, the Sergio Leone westerns, and Into the Badlands. Right, and that's kind of why I was focusing on that. And then, of course, there's the usual Conan the Barbarian and Michael Moorcock, Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian, Michael Moorcock, Stormbringer, Fritz Lieber, Swords of Lankhmar. I mean, those are all kind of the predictable things. But yet, I did, I did read a little bit of the Lowtown stuff by Daniel Polanski, which is some newer sword and sorcery. I guess even Gord the Rogue, even though it's D&D centric. Let's see. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously that's an issue. And in some cases there can definitely be the viewpoint that the problem player isn't the problem. And in fact, my friend Tim and I, who was here this weekend, we had a discussion about that in terms of a former player who unfortunately is now deceased in their group, where he wasn't he was problematic because of some disabilities, but he wasn't really the problem. Some of the other players' treatment of him was the problem. And once he died very quickly of cancer at a relatively young age, there was definitely some issues in the group because people realized they had just not been treating this guy well. And that's a really sad version of the story. But I've been in quite a few groups where there is both in public playtest and in other. Yeah, there in public playtest and in private games where there were definitely people who were a problem. A specific player who that for whatever reason remained with the group or hadn't yet gotten voted off the island. I'm talking about the HBO show. Yeah. I could put Spartacus on here too. I mean, talk about spectacle and decadence and all these other things, and tales of revenge and all the things that go into this game. Spartacus the movie, the famous movie, in addition to the blood and guts pseudo porno TV series that was out a while ago, which I thought was great. As if Robert E. Howard had been writing today, this is the kind of stuff he would write. All right. So this is the first kind of introduction chapter to the game. What is the game? How do you play a game? Why do we play games? Yeah, my stream speed's at about double than what it was when I logged on earlier. Logged on and restarted. I wonder if that should actually be in the first chapter. I'm thinking this should actually be in the introduction. Or in the GM section, but I mean, maybe this really should be. In the other document. John Carter of Mars is actually, I don't know if I put that in the description, or in the list, the viewing list and reading list, but that was another one that I thought was extremely underrated, and I think really. Oh, good. Yeah, glad you had that helped, Tom. Yeah, I collected those off a site at some point, some time ago. They're all long out of print. I don't have any issue sharing them. It's like. And of course, all everything you're seeing now in terms of these documents is just not even first draft. It's a skeletal version. All right, I think that works for the introduction. Yeah, I thought about including John Carter of Mars for the pulp aspect, because that, again, we watched that quite a few years ago, not long after it hit cable or whatever, and I was like, everybody panned this. I thought this was a really good representation of the genre, especially for a modern audience. All right, so this is more using the dice, the tabletop. I'm just taking out what's where. Every time I move these documents around, they go somewhere else on that screen. That's the only flaw I've actually seen with this specific interface, is it does tend to arbitrarily rescale things on me. I don't know why it's showing me the contents, table of contents versus the chapter 1. Yeah, it's funny. Tim saw our Die Six, because we still had our Die Six Star Wars book out, and Tim actually doesn't mind the D20 version. He likes some of the alterations, but even he said, as far as capturing the feel of being in a Star Wars movie, that was still, in his opinion, the best of the game. All right, so apparently this chat window here just is being annoying. So I can get it working. Mm-hmm. Stream is doing strange things today. It's acting a little odd. Yeah, and again, I know even one of the comments I had from the early versions of Tales was, "Wow, you're rolling a lot of dice," and I'm kind of like, "Yeah, but part of it is if you're playing this overblown heroic character, rolling a handful of dice to me makes sense." And it's not that many. You're not rolling 40. You're rolling, possibly 10, really. I think 13 or 14 is what we had before, and we've since done some streamlining, and things don't necessarily stack up quite like that anymore. All right, window capture. Let me put that. Okay, call this. I have to remake this window. I don't know why it was acting so weird. There it is. It's reappeared. Now I just have to scale it. There we go. I don't know why that decided it was going to. Why I was going to do that before. There we go. Yeah, I find the system of tails very easy. I know, like Neil, for example, had a lot of trouble, like kind of wrapping his mind around the success counting. I'm like, it's actually to me easier than a lot of these other games. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to try to word it. Yeah, well,